Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is October 31st. The Blue Jays go into LA, take 2 of 3, and are 1 win away. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? Ladies and gentlemen, it is Halloween. It is the World Series. Game 6 tonight could potentially be the last game of the 2025 season, depending on the outcome. I am a little bit sick. I've been out. I've been celebrating this incredible run. And came down with a little bit of the sickness. So bear in mind, might be some coughing in today's episode. But it is going to be a great episode. And let's just get into it and start with Game 3 of the World Series. Max Scherzer, Tyler Glasnow, series tied up at 1. What a game this one turned out to be. The Dodgers, they got a break in the second inning early here. Ball 4 somehow gets called strike 2, but Varsho thought obviously it was ball 4 because it was at his eye level. He starts heading down to first, so Bo, who was at first, starts walking to second, but it's strike 2, so Glasnow throws the ball over. Bo gets tagged out, and a bit of a break there because I think the Jays could have scored in that inning, had Bo not gotten out there. Anyways, the scoring starts after that. However, in the bottom of the second, a mistake from Max Scherzer gets absolutely punished. Teoscar blasts one way out of here. Dodgers have the 1-0 lead. The next inning, it's another mistake, another punishment. Shohei takes him deep. The Dodgers are up 2-0 early here on the Blue Jays. They would have made it 3-0, but a perfect throw from the right fielder, Addison Barger, nabs Freeman at the plate trying to score. That keeps it up 2. That is a big play, one of many big plays in this ball game. The Jays, they flip the script in the 4th with their offense that just gets to you always and always. With 2 on, Alejandro Kirk jumps on a first pitch curveball, middle from Glasnow. He sends it out of here to turn the 2-0 deficit into a 3-2 lead for the Blue Jays. Jimenez adds one more in the inning with a sac fly as the Jays score 4 in the 4th to go from down 2 to up 2, flipping the script. 5th inning, Ohtani again facing Fluharty, but finally would get to him. No more striking out. He gets a big hit, which happens to be an RBI double. That puts the Dodgers within 1. And then 2 batters later, Freddie Freeman, he delivers the RBI single to bring in Ohtani. This game is tied up at 4. We have more spectacular defense. The Dodgers are threatening in the 6th. A tough play turns into an inning-ending out as Vlad jump picks the throw from Jimenez, which had no chance to get Kike out, and fires an absolute laser, a dart to third base to nab Teoscar. One of the most heads-up plays you'll see a first baseman make. I don't think there's any other first baseman that has the arm strength and knowledge to make that kind of a play. That play was sensational. Top of the 7th, though, the Blue Jays get some bad news. George Springer leaves the game with a right side oblique injury. He on a foul ball, immediately kind of Winston pain, and then called out the trainer, and he would soon walk out after that. So not good there for the Blue Jays. But they would end up scoring this inning as Bo comes through once again. He pokes a ball down the line, hits off of the sound guy, hits off the wall, still not sure. Either way, ends up in no man's land. Vlad hustles all the way from first to score the go-ahead run to put the Jays up 5-4, but it doesn't last at all because in the bottom of the 7th, Dodgers get right back to it. A pitch to Ohtani that is middle cookie fastball. It's as easy as it gets. And for a guy as good as Ohtani, no way. That's not leaving the yard in a hurry. Ohtani, his second homer of the game, ties this one up at 5. We need some extras and we need some more sensational defense. Tommy Edman making some defense. Heads up play. A ball gets hit off of Freeman's glove into no man's land in shallow right field. Edman runs over and guns the throw to IKF at third to get him out. What a play that was. Teo and Edman later in this one makes a nice relay throw. Teoscar to Edman. Edman throws a dart to Schneider to keep the game tied as Schneider was trying to score the go-ahead run at the plate. And I mentioned extras. I didn't mention how many extras because if you're a fan of it, we had many extra innings this game. So much so that we played another full baseball game. That's right, 18 innings for Game 3. Essentially Games 3 and 4, making this now an 8-game series. Before we get into all the craziness that was this game in terms of the stats and history, let's finish off how this one ends in the 18th inning. Freeman leading it off with a full count. He sends the ball high and deep to center field. The Dodgers faithful get to go home happy. The second longest World Series game comes to an end with a walk-off home run as the Canadian man kills off the Canadian team. 6-5 Dodgers take a 2-1 series lead. That was a crazy Game 3 here. And just to mention some of the craziness that happened in this game, because again, super crazy. We mentioned that these teams didn't have the best bullpens, specifically the Dodgers bullpen. Yeah, together they threw out 10 scoreless innings from the 8th to the 17th. Zeros were being put up by both teams. Some sensational defense, some untimely clutch hitting, some big mistakes there. First, we'll start off with Shohei Ohtani, who was 4 for 4 with 2 doubles, 2 homers, and after that second homer, he proceeded to walk 5 times in the game, 4 of which were intentional walks. The 5th one might as well have been because it was 4 straight balls and nowhere close. But he became the first player in MLB history to reach base 7, 8, and 9 times in a postseason game. We've had someone reach it in 6. Now we have someone reach it in 9. Successfully reached base, 5 walks, 4 hits, 2 doubles, 2 homers. A sensational game from Ohtani once again. If you remember 2018, the World Series between the Red Sox and the Dodgers, they went 18 innings in Game 3. Max Muncy was the hero that game. He hit the walk-off home run on a full count. So there's a lot of similarities to this one. You know, history tends to repeat himself. Freeman's home run was also on a 3-2 count, also in the 18th inning of Game 3 in LA as the Dodgers beat an AL East team. So very similar stuff there. The game lasted a total of 6 hours and 39 minutes. I stayed up from all of them. That's probably where I started to get sick in the first place because that day was a long day. There was a total of 153 plate appearances, a total of 19 pitchers used, 10 from the Dodgers, 9 from the Blue Jays, and we saw a total of 609 pitches thrown. When you think of your roster, you think of 26 men. We saw 44 players get used in this game out of the 52 that, you know, could have been in the game, I guess. Obviously not because some starting pitchers wouldn't be seen and yappa. Both the game, Game 3 as well as Game 3 of the 2018 World Series were 18 innings. The one in 2018, that game was a total of 7 hours and 20 minutes long. So it's kind of, for me, it was a good demonstration because the games were essentially the exact same length of game. It was the leadoff hitter in the bottom of the 18th inning that homered. So it shows you how the pitch clock has sped up the game and all the other things that, MLB has brought in the last couple of years to speed up the game because we saved a total of 40 minutes. If we had to go another 40 minutes of that game, I don't know if I would have lasted, but that's a good reason to have these speed up rules in play because we saved 40 minutes of our lives essentially. Let's give a little hats off shout out to both bullpens here. Dodgers go Glasnow to Bonda to Wroblewski to Trinan to Dreyer to Sasaki to Sheehan to Kershaw to Henriquez to Klein. The Blue Jays went Scherzer to Fluharty to Varland to Dominguez to Bassett to Hoffman to Fisher to Lauer to Little, who ended up giving the walk-off home run to Freeman. Special hats off specifically for Eric Lauer for the Blue Jays. He went 4 2/3, the long bulk of innings there, with 2 hits and 2 strikeouts. Did walk 4 batters, but kept getting out of big jams. So hats off to Lauer. And how about Will Klein? Talk about a hero of the game. Freeman got the home run, but Will Klein kept the Dodgers in this game. A career negative 0.2 WAR player. In his 2-year big league career, both last year and this year, he has a total of 22.2 innings pitched in his career. And he goes 4 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. He gets credited with the win. A moment to remember if you're Will Klein, and potentially the start of your major league career. Maybe, now you get on notice, whether you stay with the Dodgers or a different team next year. I mean, an appearance like that in the World Series where you essentially, I would say, win your team the game. Freeman, again, got the walk-off home run. Big moment for him. He's the first player in MLB history to have, I think, multiple walk-off home runs in the World Series. He had the Grand Slam last year against the Yankees. Now he had that solo shot in Game 3 this year. But Will Klein, man, absolute sensational stuff. And that was the Game 3 masterclass, I guess. I don't know how you would exactly call it, but regardless, Dodgers up 2-1 in the series. So let's take a look at Game 4 now. We got Shane Bieber versus Shohei Ohtani. The big story, no George Springer. Not in the lineup after the oblique injury yesterday, so not sure what his status is there. After the double game yesterday, the question would be, which team would be more fatigued? Which players would be more fatigued? Most players played the whole, 6 hours and 40 minutes essentially. So who would be tired? Once again, the fourth time the Dodgers score first. Bottom of the second, Kike Hernandez drives in Muncy on a sac fly, and the Dodgers are once again up and rolling. Next inning, though, top 3, it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. versus Shohei Ohtani, the matchup the people have been waiting for. Ohtani struck him out in the first inning, but this time, Vlad gets a hanging slider and absolute smokes it. A 2-run go-ahead home run puts the Jays up 2-1 in the third. And from there, the Jays started to hold the Dodgers and would continue to roll. In the 7th inning, the Jays get the type of inning that we are so used to seeing all season and postseason long. It goes Varsho single, Ernie Clement double. That finishes Ohtani's night as the Dodgers go to the bullpen. Jimenez, a long battle, ends up with an RBI single. IKF then lines out to third. Ty France, he grounds out to first base. That scores a run. They intentionally walk Vlad to get to Bo, who delivers an RBI single deep off the wall in left field. Then Barger comes up and gets an RBI single. The Jays send a total of 8 men to the plate. They come away with 4 runs and turn a 2-1 lead into a 6-1 lead. They would feel comfortable from that point on. The Dodgers get an extra run in the 9th, which doesn't mean much as Tommy Edman grounds out to score Teoscar. The Jays showed up to play and they win it. The final score of 6-2. They even up the series to a piece. Ohtani, I mean, you could say maybe it was the fatigue of the previous game. He, didn't have much, but again, we've also seen the Blue Jays be a problem for many pitchers, and Ohtani's no exception. 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs. Did strike out 6 batters, which, is pretty impressive considering the Jays haven't been striking out too much this postseason. 6 is probably one of the higher games they've had. Shane Bieber, on the other end, he said his performance maybe cut a little bit too early, and I might tend to agree with him. He pitched 5 1/3, 4 hits, 1 run, and 3 strikeouts. He was looking pretty good, but the Jays went to Fluharty, who got 2 big outs, including a strikeout. And then Bassett comes in for 2 very solid innings before Louis Varland comes in for the 9th. A little dicey at the start, but gets the 3 outs that he needs. The Blue Jays win, and we have one more big game. Game 5 now is the next game to go and start talking about here because, the winner of this has the advantage for not potential anymore. We're guaranteed going back to Toronto. But it's Game 6, and who would have the edge in that game? Who wins Game 5 as we go on to that one? We've got a rematch of the Game 1 starters, Blake Snell versus Trey Yesavage, and still no Springer in the lineup, but apparently could be available to pinch hit in the game. Would the Jays need it, though? Not so sure, because on the very first pitch of the ball game. Davis Schneider, the leadoff hitter, sends one high and out, gone. Home run for Schneider. And if that wasn't good enough, on the third pitch of the game, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sends one way out of here. They go back to back in the first inning. Schneider and Vladdy, they sap and drain all of the energy in Dodger Stadium. It's the second time in MLB history a team has started a World Series game with back-to-back homers. You go back to the 2002 Athletics, so it's Scott Hattenberg getting that second one as well. Moneyball, if you know it, you know it. Trey Yesavage, he looks like he is dealing in this one. 5 straight strikeouts, but a mistake to Kike Hernandez gets punished in the third. He hits a solo shot for the first homer of the postseason for him, and it's a 2-1 ball game. In the fourth, Teoscar makes a questionable defensive play, goes for the slide catch to try to get it, but was nowhere close. The ball drops ahead of him, gets by him, and what could have been a, single for Varsho turns into a triple, which then Ernie Clement would score him with a sac fly. The Blue Jays take a 3-1 lead. And even though it was just a 2-run deficit, it felt like we were watching a blowout with a 10-0 score. The energy of Dodger Stadium was drained. Yesavage was absolutely dealing. You got Barger laying out to rob Ohtani of a hit, an absolute sensational catch from him. The Blue Jays, once again, another long 7th inning. Snell would get out of the game. Vlad ends up walking on a wild pitch, which then comes in to score Barger from third base. That scores a run, and then Bo Bichette gets a base hit to right field. That brings in another run, and the Blue Jays score 2 in the inning, and it's 5-1. They are cruising, and Trey Yesavage, he's the story of the game, and I haven't really mentioned him. He's crushing it, striking out hitters left, right, and center. His night finishes with a double play to end the 7th, getting love all over the place from his teammates and family in the stands. We'll talk more about Yesavage just briefly here. Incredible stuff. If things weren't bad enough for the Dodgers, you got IKF driving in a run. That makes it 6-1 in the 8th inning. The Blue Jays get a huge win. They take 2 of 3 in LA and head back home with 1 win away from a 3rd World Series title in their franchise's history. They win it 6-1. And then at the end of the game, Clayton Kershaw takes it all in. The last time he'll be an active player in Dodger Stadium. Spent some time with his family on the field afterwards. A really cute moment there for a first ballot Hall of Famer. One of the game's greatest pitchers that I've ever seen. And really cool moment to see that on TV afterwards. But how about Trey Yesavage? He is the story of the game here. His longest and arguably most dominant start of his major league career. You could go back to game 2 of the ALDS against the Yankees, where he pitched 5 innings of no hits and struck out 10. This one was just a little bit longer, had a mistake or two, but no one's complaining. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 12. Yeah, you heard me right. 12 strikeouts. Those 3 hits, by the way, you had the 1 mistake home run to Kike Hernandez in the 3rd, and then 2 infield hits by Teoscar Hernandez that just found holes on like a swinging bunt, kind of really shallow hits that really didn't do much. He was absolutely cruising. And that kind of start. What we've seen from Trey this postseason as a whole, and what we've seen from him this year, because again, he started it, and you've heard it plenty of times if you've been watching the games, if you've been watching these episodes even, because I've mentioned it a couple times already. He started in low A at the beginning of the year. He got drafted 20th overall last year, goes from low A to high A to double A to triple A, comes up to the majors, makes 3 starts, is now on the postseason roster where he's now made 5 starts in the postseason. A total of 8 starts in his MLB career, 3 in regular season, 5 in the postseason. Yankees, 2 against the Mariners, and now 2 against the Dodgers. And overall, his numbers have been fantastic. Trey Yesavage, more history, of course. He breaks the strikeouts record by a rookie in a World Series game at 12, passing Don Newcomb, who had 11 back in 1949. He also now has a total of 39 strikeouts in the postseason, which is the most ever by a rookie, as he passes Michael Wacha, who had 33 strikeouts in 2013. And again, this number is still in counting, because if there is a Game 7, we could see him out of the bullpen. He, of course, has more strikeouts in the postseason than his regular season, which doesn't surprise me. He probably has more strikeouts in the World Series alone, the 2 games that he had against the Dodgers, than he does in the regular season in his 3 starts that he made. Just absolute sensational stuff. He's the second pitcher ever in the World Series history with 10 strikeouts in the first 5 innings of a ball game. The only other one to do that was Sandy Koufax, who was in the second row by the Dodger dugout watching this start. Hats off, Trey Yesavage. If this was the last time we saw you this season, boy, oh boy, am I excited to see him next season potentially win the Rookie of the Year. And, I mean, so many great stuff. Can't wait to get this guy's jersey. Like, oh my God, Trey Yesavage. Talk about making fans quick. So, yeah, those are the 3 games that happened in L.A. The Dodgers take 2 of 3. The Blue Jays take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. Let's take a look at these Dodgers, though, and figure out what exactly is going wrong for them. I'm going to start by singling out Blake Snell, because he had some comments after the Game 5 that I thought were a bad lack of character on him. You know, I like Blake Snell. I am a fan of him pitching. I think he's a great pitcher. He has his ups and has his downs, but his ups are very impressive. His comments were basically bad-mouthing the entire Blue Jays lineup outside of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., saying that luck plays in baseball and that he felt like he had a really strong outing and just got unlucky, and that's why the Blue Jays beat him. To which I say that's BS, because the Blue Jays offense has been fantastic all season long. They've been doing it against the best opponents, the worst opponents. It doesn't matter who. They've been having crazy innings. They battle. They fight off tough pitches. That's been the Blue Jays offense. And yeah, maybe at the start of the season, people don't know the names of Davis Schneider, Nathan Lucas, Tyler Heineman. But these guys have been doing it all season long. And to discredit that, I thought that was saying something. So I decided to take his World Series numbers that he had against the Blue Jays, the team that he said has gotten lucky. And I just want to read them out for you really quickly. In both games combined, Game 1 and in Game 5, he pitched 12 innings, allowing 14 hits, with a total of 10 earned runs. He walked 7 batters, did strike out 11, but gave up 3 homers. That's an ERA of 7.50. He said at the end there that he is excited for them to see him again in Game 7, which I think is BS, because no matter how bad the Dodgers bullpen is, you've given up 10 runs against them, and you think Dave Roberts is going to put you in the do-or-die Game 7? I don't see that happening. So just, Blake Snell, a little emotional there, I guess, but some bad comments there. Moving on here, let's talk about these Dodgers, because Mookie Betts has been missing for basically this entire series. Outside of the Game 3 anomaly that was the Dodgers bullpen, they have been the problem. We said they would be. They pretty much have been, outside of those 10 innings where they put up zeros. And outside of Ohtani, and at times the Hernandezes, Kike and Teoscar have been, decently productive offensively. Nobody else really has been. And I mean, you want to pin through some stats really quickly. Freeman is 5 for 20. He's got that home run. Good for him. Kike 4 for 19. Teoscar 7 for 22. And then you have Shohei, who's 6 for 19, has the 3 homers. He's the only guy on the Dodgers that has an OPS over 1 dot. He's at a 1.395. Next up would be Freeman, who has an 850, and then Teoscar has got an 830. Max Muncy is 3 for 20. Will Smith is 5 for 21. Mookie Betts, 3 for 23. Tommy Edman, 3 for 21. I mean, it's been a horrendous showing offensively for, I want to say, all of the Dodgers outside of Ohtani, and then maybe the Hernandezes, maybe even Freeman as well. He had that big home run as well, but everyone else needs to step up. And at this point right now in the season and everything, there really isn't a time to step up. You got 2 games. And they have just looked wrong all series long. They've looked mismatched. Think about the 2 games the Dodgers have won. an 18-inning thriller, which, there's luck involved in that one, but there was some very great defense from both sides, some great bullpen outings, and to be honest, you got to think about the Blue Jays lineup that they had for the extra inning games because Springer left with an oblique. The Blue Jays, they've been taking out Bo Bichette for IKF to pinch run, so that happened in the 6th inning as well. So Boba's gone. Kirk, he left the game as well. Long day for a catcher just because Will Smith did it. Kirk played a factor in game 4. Will Smith didn't, but maybe the extra has helped. And then Barger was also taken out for a pinch runner because of defense as well, I think as well. The Jays from the 8th inning on didn't have Springer, they didn't have Bo, they didn't have Barger, they didn't have Kirk. And those are the 4 guys besides Vladdy that you think of when you think of the Jays offense, and they were without that. So that's part of the reason that game went 18 innings. So they won that game, and then they also won a complete game. The game against in game 2, Gausman versus Yamamoto, which we're going to have tonight, that was a really well-pitched game, I would say, between them. You got into the 7th inning of a really grueling pitcher's duel before Gausman gave up the 2 home runs, and then the game gets away from the Blue Jays at the end there. But, a complete game and an 18-inning game, those are the games you win. But all of the regular 9-inning games, which is just best versus best, the Blue Jays have won all 3 of those games. It hasn't been close. And if someone's saying it's been close, they're lying to you. Yamamoto has back-to-back complete games. I mentioned that. He will need to do something special tonight to get this series to Game 7. If the Blue Jays jump him early and get, 2 runs in the first 2 or 3 innings and the Dodgers offense isn't anywhere close, it's panic mode for Dave Roberts and the Dodgers because the season could end tonight if you're not careful. And I think that is the big, key takeaway here with the Dodgers. But again, in a lot of the series, I've seen people be like, oh, it's the Dodgers playing bad and the Dodgers not having this. Credit the Toronto Blue Jays, man. They have played a fantastic series. They have 3 players with an OPS above 1. That's 2 more than the Dodgers have in Ohtani. They have Vlad, they have Kirk, and they have Barger. And when you go through the lineup here, all of the guys have contributed in some way, shape, or form. Vlad, 8 for 22. Kirk, 6 for 18. Barger, 8 for 17. Varsho, 5 for 22. Bo, 5 for 16. Ernie, 7 for 22. When you go through, there's only 2 players who haven't had a run or RBI in the series. That's Tyler Heineman and Miles Straw. Every other player, Vlad, Kirk, Barger, Schneider, Varsho, Bo, Ernie, France, Jimenez, IKF, Lucas, Springer, have had either an RBI or a run. And to be honest, almost all of them, besides I think Springer and maybe one other guy in France, have had both at least 1 run and at least 1 RBI. Everyone is contributing. You want to single out Andres Jimenez. He's 3 for 19. Yeah, his OPS, 419. That's bad. But guess what? He has clutch hits. He has 3 RBIs and 3 runs. That's what you need from your 9-hole hitter, from your 8-hole hitter. That kind of offense production, yeah, it's not, it's nothing compared to what Vlad's done this series and to what Barger's done. But it's been very impressive to see the 8-hole hitter have a tough at-bat, to get a base hit, to score a run. That's what the Blue Jays have done well. It's been all season long, and if I'm being honest to you, I'd be lying if I said the Blue Jays don't deserve to win this World Series. They have been the better team. It's not marginally close. The bullpen's been better. The starting pitching has been better. The Dodgers pitching has been great. Starting pitching, Yamamoto, the 9-inning complete game. But outside of that, Ohtani, 6 innings, 4 runs. Snell, we talked about him, 12 innings, 10 runs. That's been an issue, and it's to credit the Jays offense. They've been that good. And I think right now the Blue Jays are 1 win away, and even if Yamamoto comes out and shoves tonight, for Game 7 tomorrow, I would find it very difficult that the Blue Jays lose both of these games at home to lose the World Series. I think it's going north of the border. I think it is Toronto's to lose. And again, not to discredit the Blue Jays because they've been so good. It's still the Dodgers. They still have plenty of Hall of Fame talent and potential on that team. We just haven't seen it through 5 games. I find it difficult that all of a sudden in the last 2 games we'll see it pop up and, like, is Mookie going to hit 3 homers tonight? No. Could he? Yes. I've seen him hit 3 homers before in Toronto. Of course, that was with the Boston Red Sox, but, man, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. It's the Blue Jays to lose. They are in complete control, and it's been exciting to watch. And yeah, we're at the end of the World Series, essentially. We got the upcoming games for you really quickly. Tonight, Game 6, Yamamoto versus Gausman, a rematch of Game 2. If the Blue Jays win, the season is over. They are World Series champions. And next episode, we'll be talking about that, essentially, and getting ready for the offseason. If the Dodgers and Yamamoto win today, there will be a do-or-die Game 7 with the World Series title on the line. It is listed as TBD versus TBD, but I would expect it to be a Game 3 rematch of Tyler Glasnow and Max Scherzer. But again, it's the last game of the season no matter what, so it's all hands on deck. Ohtani will be available on the bullpen or to pitch or to start maybe. Shane Bieber will do the same for the Blue Jays. I would expect Yesavage to be available for the Blue Jays. Snell may be available. Would Dave Roberts go to him? I don't know. He's given up 10 earned runs in the 2 games that he's played, so I have no idea what the stick is there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do for tomorrow. George Springer is apparently good to go for Game 6. Not sure if he'll be in the lineup or pinch hit or what the option is there. But according to John Schneider in his media day yesterday, Springer should be in the lineup for Game 6. So we'll wait to see if that's guaranteed or not. But if Springer's good to go, I mean, again, that's just another thing that, favors the Blue Jays in this series. I got to be honest with you. In terms of some other news, really quickly, just to mention one thing, I guess, or 2 things. We have managers being hired by teams. The Twins hire former Pirates manager Derek Shelton to manage the Twins this season. He, of course, managed the Pirates from 2020 to 2025. He was let go middle of this season. He is now the Twins manager. And the Washington Nationals, they've gone an interesting route. They've hired 33-year-old Blake Butera to manage the Nationals. I'm pretty sure that's the youngest manager I've seen in a long, long time. I'll have to fact check that. But when I saw him get hired, I'm like, wait, isn't he like 35? 33. Even younger than I thought. I mean, that's just, wow. So those are 2 hirings of managers. I mean, we've had a couple managers get hired the last couple of, weeks, essentially. And, I've been wanting to keep up with that, but I've also not really cared too much. So that's just something to keep in mind. We'll talk about that all once the World Series wraps up. Because, again, no matter what happens, the World Series wraps up today, guys. Or today/tomorrow. Like, the next episode, we'll have a World Series champion. We're at the end of the 3rd year of the middle of the order. And whether you're here, this is your first episode, or if you've been here since episode 1, or episode 10, or 20, or 100. Like, it's been a long journey, and we're almost on our 3rd year together. I love you guys all. I appreciate you guys all. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you and the World Series champions on Monday.